I just hate the way we are supposed to behave, the way women are supposed to act, and women over the age of 50 shouldn't wear bikinis and shouldn't have long hair and you shouldn't do this and you should. All I hear is that you shouldn't do this. Well, excuse my language, but do whatever I want.
It's the Dumb Doctor Show, like and subscribe. It's the Dumb Doctor Show, like and subscribe.
Welcome to the Dumb Doctor Show. You could be anywhere in the world, but you're here with me today. Like, comment, and subscribe. Let's get into this. I have a very special guest today. She's been all over the tabloid newspapers. She's been everywhere online. And I've been inspired of her story, and I really wanted to get more understanding of the decisions that led her up to where she is today. So without further ado, Amanda, welcome to the Dumb Doctor Show.
Thank you for having me.
Thank you for being here. We have something at the Dumb Doctor Show called Quick Fire with the Dumb Doctor. And it's basically 12 questions I want you to answer as truthful as you can. Try not to think about it too much, but it's just to break the ice.
Sure.
Okay,
Fire
let's
away.
go. Okay. What do you think people misunderstand most about you?
They probably think that I have abandoned my children and I'm a very selfish person, but I actually really, truthfully, don't care what strangers think about me because they're not paying my bills. They haven't lived my life. They haven't walked in my shoes. So I always say, as long as my children love me, that's all that matters. And they support me. They support everything that I do. So, yeah, I'm always misunderstood.
Yeah, it can happen. How do you want to be remembered?
As a kind person, I help lots of people. I do PR for people. I put on events like the Liverpool Lifestyle Awards, Liverpool Fashion Week. I champion people starting out in business and I watch them grow and I put them on a platform so that they can become famous in their industry. So that's how I'd like to be remembered.
Okay. What character traits do you most respect in other people?
Honesty, loyalty. That's it, really. They're the two that are and integrity as well.
What's your biggest fear?
Being stabbed. I'm terrified of knives.
But it's good you're not in London anymore.
I know.
What's your favorite movie and what does it reveal about you?
I like Dirty Dancing because I love Patrick Swayze. It's a very sexy movie, but it also reminds me a bit of my childhood, the way that Baby was always misunderstood as a kid. And yeah, so I also like Meet the Fockers. I like comedy. I don't like horror films. I also like We're the Millers. Really stupid, silly. But yeah, anything that's going to make me laugh out loud. And of course, Grease.
Oh, Greece, yeah. No, fantastic. What is something that people will be surprised to know about you?
What will they? I don't know. I'm quite an open book on social media. Maybe that I'm not as rich as people think I am. People think I'm like a millionaire. I'm not, but I'm working on it.
Fair enough. Do you have any regrets?
I think we all have regrets in life, but I rather than having regrets now, I prefer to think of them as experiences that have led me exactly to where I need to be today. So I look at everything as it was meant to be at that time. So no, I don't really have any regrets. I mean, yes, there was one regret I had. I was 18 and I was homeless, and I was offered a house in London, and it was a shared housing scheme with the council, and it was too far away from where my friends were. And if I'd have taken that, I would have definitely been a multimillionaire now. But
Yeah.
hindsight is a wonderful thing.
Exactly. Do you have a life motto?
You're going to die, so do it anyway, which happens to be the name of my new book.
Mm. Yes, nice. And we're gonna get into a new book a bit later on. I'd love to hear more about that.
Excuse me, I am sweating because I
No,
am in
nothing.
Cyprus and it's very hot and humid.
How many degrees is it down there?
I think it's currently around 34. And
Wow.
I haven't got the AC on because it's too noisy for doing this podcast. So
Wow. You're gonna be tan soon anyway.
I am
That's
tanned really. Yes.
yeah, that's beautiful. That's beautiful. If you had to describe yourself as an animal, which one would it be and why?
A cat. Fiercely independent, but also very cute and cuddly.
I love cats.
I
Okay.
found
Are
out.
you are you an introvert or an extrovert?
Oh, an extrovert. I love attention. Absolutely love attention. Yes. I mean, I walk into a room and talk to everybody. I'll go to parties on my own. I'll go to clubs on my own. I'll go to a restaurant on my own. So, yeah.
Really? Oh wow. Okay. Um, if money wasn't a factor, what would you do with your time? This is the last one. If money wasn't a
Absolutely
factor,
nothing. Absolutely nothing. I'm not one of these, I would do whatever I wanted. Maybe, I'd like to volunteer for charity abroad. I'd love to do that. I'd love to help kids in Africa in schools and places like that. But no, I would do absolutely nothing. I'm not one of these people who say, oh, if I win the lottery, it won't change my life. It bloody would. Absolutely would. I'd down tools and do whatever I wanted.
fair enough. And that's the end of Quick Time with the Dandada.
Did I pass?
Yeah, almost. No, you passed. You passed. Because it's just basically your own opinion and your own views.
Of course.
So yeah. So good job. Let's start from the beginning, Amanda. Where did you grow up? Where are you from?
Okay, so I was born in Merseyside, but I grew up in London. I spent 20 years in London, and then I left London and went back up north. I ended up back in Liverpool where I was born. So yeah. I'm glad I grew up in London in the 80s because that was a good time to be, there.
80s. The 80s were very different than they are today.
Yes, there was no phones. It was just,
No.
you'd get up, you'd go out, and you'd
Yeah.
come back when it was dark, and nobody knew where you were, and it was a lot simpler, and there wasn't all the pressure of social media and the bullshit that goes around social media and the fakery, which I'm part of as well. So, but it was a much simpler time then, and also social media has killed dating, it's killed relationships. People just, go on swiping people without even knowing who they are or getting to know them. Just look at a picture, which could be, fake. So it's just a very sad time to be around, I think.
Yeah, it's definitely not like before. So yeah, no, it's sad.
Yeah, there's
But
a lot of bullying and hatred online, which, is horrible. I see it, I block it, because I only surround myself with positivity, but it's horrible.
how do you deal with that? Because I mean, obviously, you've gone viral online. You're in all the newspapers everywhere.
Yeah,
How do you deal with the attention?
I block. I mean, I never care about trolls. Trolls are your biggest fans. Your haters are your biggest fans because they're talking about you, they're promoting you, and there's one thing worse than not being. The one thing worse than being talked about is not being talked about. So yeah, but there's a lot of racism and horrible stuff, anti-Semitism and stuff in the world at the moment, and I block it, but it's still a bit horrible. It's sad, because I'm not racist. I love everybody unless they do something shitty to me. I treat everybody the same. I don't understand how people can just hate just because of a religion. It's unfathomable to me.
Yeah. It's the times that we're living in right now, unfortunately.
It's horrible. Yeah. Again, I wish I was back in the 80s.
Yeah. Well, we can't go back to that, but yeah, no. So growing up for you, you had a fantastic childhood.
Did I bollocks? No, I didn't. I had a shitty childhood. I left home at 18, and that was after 4 years of sofa serving on and off on my friends' couches because my mother kept throwing me out. And I had a horrendous childhood. Most of it's blocked out. I was the victim of maternal narcissistic abuse. My dad left her when I was 3, and my mother took it out on me. She had mental health issues. She was bipolar, undiagnosed. And she took it out on me, physical and emotional violence. So, no, it wasn't happy at all.
Okay, I'm sorry to hear that you.
Nothing. No, like I say, these things are meant to be. They shape who you are today. So I don't think I'm a victim.
Yeah.
I've used my platform to talk about it because I don't speak to my mother. I haven't spoken to her in over 25 years. And again, the whole stigma is, what did you do? Why did you walk? No, actually, what did my mother do? I found peace. I walked away from abuse because I wasn't prepared to tolerate it. I was not going to just because you have children, it's not your birthright to treat your children like shit just because you gave birth to them.
I agree with you.
I have an amazing relationship with my kids. So
yeah, kids are wonderful. It's difficult. It's not
absolutely,
easy.
complete blessing, and I just love watching them grow. I mean, two of my daughters are in Thailand at the moment. They sent me a video of what they were doing, and they're in Vietnam. They've moved on to Vietnam, and I just burst into tears because they look so happy and they're living their life. They're following their dreams, and it just made me cry because I was just so happy for them. And that's you should be your biggest cheerleader for your kids, not be jealous of them.
No. Time goes so quickly as well, So quickly.
I know.
So quickly. I remember when I was holding my daughter in my arms, and now today she's 20 years old. So,
Exactly. Yeah, I'm there with you. I'm there with you.
Time goes, So you had 6 kids.
Yes.
You got married.
Yes. Yes, I have 6 kids, all to the same man. Not that it makes any difference whether they were multiple dads, but there was just one dad. And it wasn't, the first 10 years of marriage were amazing, brilliant, so much fun. And then, I don't know, he hit 40 and he just turned into an old, miserable man. One foot in the grave, literally. Didn't want to go out, didn't want to do anything, I bought my place in Cyprus because he didn't want to go on holiday. And of course, I love holidays and I needed somewhere that I could take my kids on my own. So I would holiday
Why
without
Cyprus?
him.
Why Cyprus?
Just they drive on the left. It's nice and hot and it's very safe and very welcoming to British people. So traveling alone with kids, I knew that I'd be safe. And then the last 10 years were shit, really lonely. I would say very lonely. I was more lonely in my marriage than I am now. Just because we sat in separate bedrooms, we slept in different beds. We didn't even go out for dinner together. He didn't celebrate my birthday. Nothing. It was like he turned into some gawky teenager sat in his room on the PlayStation kind of person. And I didn't want to grow old with that kind of man.
Yeah. No, I can understand, if you're with a partner that's
they
almost,
just gave up on life. They just didn't want to, not ambitious. And I'm very ambitious. I'm always doing stuff. I'm always putting events on. I've got my magazine. I'm always writing books. I'm very creative. I'm always thinking of the next big, quick, rich scheme to, to jump on. I'll take risks. I'll invest in Bitcoin. I lost all that money. But, at least I'll try. It's like, you're going to die, so do it anyway. But he would is happy just to sit on the sofa and watch the news 24/7 and bitch about everything going on in the world that we can't change. We can't. What's the point in worrying about stuff that we cannot control? It's just pointless.
I agree with you. And what was your feelings and thoughts that, made you choose a decision
I was
later on that you
lonely.
made?
I just kept coming. I was sat on my own. I would sleep on my own. I'd do everything. I was paying all the bills because he wasn't working. I just felt like wallpaper, and I just thought, is this my life? I'm 48 years old, and have I got another 40 years of this shit? I don't think so. I believe that I am an attractive woman and I could, I want to go out and have fun. I want to live my life. I don't want to sit and grow moldy on the sofa in my house in a
Mm,
cold, miserable, negative country. I want to,
mm,
before I had kids, I traveled the world. I went solo traveling everywhere.
mm.
And I want to carry that on.
So you've always been like that. You've always kind of been like a go lady, like you do what you like, and
Oh yeah,
you travel.
definitely. I think it's coming from the maternal narcissistic background. Because I've done a lot of research into this, and when you have an emotionally devoid childhood of love, you
Uh-huh.
are an overachiever, and you always want to, you're very curious about the world, and you want to do big things and better things because you're compensating for the lack of what you had as a child. And
Mm,
maybe that is true, but I'm always adventurous. Last year I went to Hong Kong on my own. I've been to Australia on my own. I've been to Bali on
wow.
my own. I had an argument
Wow.
with the ex-husband, and I literally just turned up at the airport with my passport and a toothbrush and a spare pair of underwear. Got on the plane with just a handbag just to go to New York. Came back with a new suitcase full of clothes. It's just like
Wow. Wow. You're literally the definition of a
I
lady.
just
Like
think
if
that's
you
it.
really want to live life, you live life, and you don't allow anything to kind of hold you back.
No, I mean, there's lots of crappy things going on in my life all the time, and
Mm,
it's not that I'm pretending that they're not happening. I accept that they're happening, but that doesn't mean to say I can't live my life to my fullest potential. And
mhm,
I think that's what I've taught my children is that you know, like my daughter's having a gap year and I'm telling her not to go to university. I don't see the point of her coming out of university 3 years later for a degree that so many other people have and that's actually
mm.
not technically going to change anything in her life. And she'll just come out 50 grand in debt. Absolute waste of time. Told her
Yeah.
to stay in Vietnam and go traveling the world till the money runs out. You
Yeah,
know,
yeah, yeah.
she can
No,
put
I
it.
agree. I agree with you. I went to university for 3 years, took 2 years out, um, and I don't know really what the point of me going to
It's
university is.
bullshit, isn't it? It's the patriarchy that we're sworn into that this is what you do. You don't have to do it. I have so many arguments with the kids' teachers in school about all kinds of things. Children should be seen and not heard. Children should not be
Mm,
talking in class. Yes, of course, they can't be disruptive in class. But if they're
mhm.
inquisitive and want to question a teacher's point of view, surely that is the point of an education is and a free society where you can question things. I got called into school. My kids are very well mannered, very well behaved. But there was an
Mhm.
incident. I mean, my daughter's 23 now, but when she was 18 in school, 18, so she was an adult, 18, and she got called into school and was almost suspended because she told a teacher to fuck off. And I was like, what happened? Well, this happened in the classroom and blah, blah, blah. And the teacher was talking over me. I said, were you talking over my daughter when she was trying to explain what was happening? And my daughter replied, yes, she did. I said, so you basically were not giving my daughter the right to reply. And if that had been me, I would have done the same. And in the end, I got the teacher to apologize to my daughter. So, yeah, I don't follow rules. I'm not saying break the rules, but, you know, the patriarchy is
Stand up for what you believe in.
yeah, it's
Mhm.
just the whole I hate it. I hate society. Society's broken anyway, but I just hate the way we are supposed to behave, the way women are supposed to act, and women over the age of 50 shouldn't wear bikinis and shouldn't have long hair, and you shouldn't do this, and you should. All I hear is that you shouldn't do this. Well, excuse my language, but fuck that. I'll do whatever I want. I'm not hurting anybody.
Mm. No, I agree with you. There's no
I
actually
didn't
no
get my
rule book.
tattoos till I was 49.
Really?
Yes.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow. It's never too late to get tattoos. I got my first tattoo when I was 17. So
Oh, wow. Yeah. Very good.
yeah, so no, fantastic. So how did you in the end communicate to your husband that things wasn't working out? And
Oh,
then what
you
led
know what
you
it
to
is? You nag you say, I'm not happy, and you cry, you stamp your feet, you scream, you have tantrums, all the things to try and get his attention to say, we're not, this isn't working, blah, 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 blah. And in the end, you go silent. You go silent because you're done. You're just like, it's everything I'm saying is falling on deaf ears. And when the woman in a relationship goes quiet and she's not arguing back, she's not answering you back, she's just not, she's, that's when you know it's dead.
mm, mm,
Yeah.
wow.
So, and that's why I put in my book, women, you should, or men, you shouldn't settle. I could quite easily stay in a marriage with a man who I know he adores me. I know he loves me. He's always going to be there for me, in terms of he's there, but he's not with me. I'm in a restaurant on my own. I'm on a flight on my own. I'm sat on a beach on my own. I go to the
Mm,
cinema on my own. He's not there with me as a companion,
mm.
So why would I say I'd rather be single and on my own than be in a marriage like that?
No, I agree with you. I totally agree with you.
I
You
mean, you're
might also
going
be
to
alone.
die to do what's the worst that can happen? I moved abroad. I moved to my holiday home full time. If it didn't work out, what's the worst that can happen? I'll move back. If everything that people do is from a point of fear because your brain wants to tell you, don't do that. Oh my God, don't do that. That's really, what if this happens? What if that happens? But the moment you stop fearing everything, that's when A, you grow as a person, and B, the good stuff happens, the magic happens, because it's like, oh my God, wow, this is, I met people from so many different countries and cultures, and they're all my friends, and it's just lovely. There's no judgment. It's just fabulous. People just living their best lives.
How was it leaving your husband? It seemed like, obviously, like you said, you was already done with it. So that didn't seem so hard to do because you were doing everything alone anyway. But
No,
what about
I
your
didn't
kids?
cry when I
How
left
was it?
him. I didn't cry once when I left him, but I used to come to Cyprus because I was miserable. And
Mm,
I would come here for like 3-4 days, and then I'd fly home, and then I'd be crying, and I'd be crying for a few days. I'd be really down, really depressed, because it's like my escape, but then having to go back, and it felt like a prison. And my two eldest children, who were 19 and 18 at the time, said to me, Mum, why don't you stay in Cyprus? You're happier there. And I thought, yeah, I'll go to Cyprus, because it wasn't good for them to be around the silent treatment of their parents, or to see their mother crying or sat in their room miserable. That's not helpful for them. I didn't want them to see me like that. And I did the right thing. So, yeah.
and there's kind of no looking back. Um, you haven't looked back since you moved to Cyprus now.
Well, no, I mean, I moved in during COVID. So my business basically collapsed overnight. I lost all my invoices that were owed to me overnight. I'd run events, couldn't run events for 2 years. The magazine couldn't publish. Nobody was advertising. I had no money overnight. The government shut me down. And being self-employed and working from home, I didn't get any grants, nothing. And I was like, shit, what am I going to do? I knew I had a place in Cyprus and I could replicate my business out here, and with the model that I had back in Liverpool. And that's exactly what I did. So, my ex-husband wasn't working. So what was I going to do? Just pray for a miracle. The money tree wasn't growing in the garden. So I had to go. I had to be resourceful and I had to find money to pay the bills. And that's what I did it. And that's why I moved, because I saw an opening. So that's the real reason I moved. I didn't move to go partying 24/7, because actually I moved in 2020 when nothing was open for 2 years.
Under COVID.
But it
Under
makes a good
COVID.
story for the tabloids.
Yeah, that's what I was gonna say. When I
I
read the
wrote that.
tabloid newspapers, it's like
I wrote that press release.
yeah.
People were like, "Oh my God, Amanda, you're really worried. What people have you seen what they're writing about you in the newspapers?" I'm like, I wrote that press release and I sent it to them because I'm good at PR and I knew that's the hook that will get them to talk to me, and then I can promote my book. It's really that's all it is. It's telling a good story. And yeah, they can spin it. Oh, sorry, that they can spin it as they want. I don't mind, because it got me in all the papers and people were talking about me, good or bad.
Wow, wow, wow. Because the way they spun it in the newspapers was that you literally just like left your husband and your 6 kids and you just went to
Yeah,
go
I was
and
like, see, yeah, I'm going off partying, getting drunk, and this, that, and the other. The funny thing is, I don't actually drink. I don't even like alcohol. I'll have 2 drinks maximum, and that'll be it. And I don't like. I'll go to a club and I'll drink water. So it's like it's funny, but this is it. I absolutely couldn't give a shit what people think about me. They're not paying my bills. They're not, as long as my PR clients are happy and they love what I'm doing, because, of course, with me being in the papers and stuff, they're like, oh, that's my PR manager. Look how great she is, getting all this publicity. It's great, you know.
How have you been dealing with the attention you talked about before? Sometimes people
Absolutely.
can be negative at times and stuff like that, and mean and stuff. But how have you been
I don't
coping with it?
listen to it. Honestly, I don't listen to it. An ex-employee of mine messaged me and goes, Amanda, have you seen what they were saying about you in the Liverpool Echo? It's really bad. Oh my God, if I was you, I wouldn't go out the house. I don't know how you live with yourself. And I was like, I don't care. I honestly don't care. I don't care. These people are going to bed. Are they going to bed at night? The last thing they're thinking of is, are they thinking of me? I don't think so. So why should I give them any headspace? I'm sorry. I really, it hasn't, there hasn't been there's been a lot of attention online, but it's nothing. It really is nothing. I'm not a celebrity. I'm not famous. Yesterday's news is today's fish and chip papers. It really is. The great thing is that if you Google me, I'm great in the rankings with loads of, topics about me. So that's good. And hopefully it's going to be promoting my new book. You're going to die to do it anyway. A little plug
There you
there, because
go.
it's on Amazon.
Yeah, yeah, and the book that you're promoting as well, which is on Amazon. Can you give us a brief description of what's it about?
So it's basically women in their 40s and 50s. We are told that we should look a certain way, we should act a certain way, we should shrink into the background, we should, not have a voice. I tear that up. I tear that rule book up and I say, we are just starting on our next chapter of our life and we can do whatever we want to do. We are bold, we are beautiful, we don't have the same hang-ups of a 20-year-old. My friend says to me, oh, I wish I was 30. I don't want all the, the stress and the shit that comes with 30, being 30 and having young kids. No way. I love every aspect of my life, and I'm trying to encourage people to not live in the past, not live in the future, but live in the present, because the present is a gift. And also, you can change your life if you want to. You don't have to settle. You don't have to stay in a relationship that makes you feel like shit. Just because you're scared of being alone. You're alone in that relationship. You don't have to stay in a relationship if people are putting you down. You don't have to stay friends with somebody you've been friends with all your life just because you've been friends with them all your life. But when you go out with them, they make you feel like shit. No, you don't. You can change your circle of friends. You can change your partner. You can change your entire life at whatever age. And when you get to my age, 53, you can do whatever you like. I've got
I must say you
27.
look fabulous, by the way, Amanda.
Thank you. It's
You
Botox.
look really good.
It's Botox, as women always say. And yeah, I'm not scared to say it. Botox is self-grooming. I'm not,
Mm,
I have PRP treatments. I have
mm,
Botox. I'll have whatever that will make me look and feel better. Aesthetics aren't the same as what they were in the 80s when, your face was frozen and they can. I haven't gone over the top. I don't have my
mm.
lips done. I don't have any fillers in my face, but I have a few injections to smooth out what I can. But
Yeah.
and I think you should just applaud that. I also go to the gym.
Mm.
I weight train. I trained as a body pump instructor when I
Oh,
was
wow.
49.
Oh, wow.
10 years previously, I never set foot in a gym and I dropped
Mm.
4 stone in weight. It's just like you can
Wow.
change your appearance, you can change your life, you can change your surroundings. The only thing stopping you from living your best life is you. And that's what my book is about, because it's like you're going to die, so do it anyway. Also, it talks about relationships and sex. It talks about menopause. It talks about feminism in your 50s, how as women at our age, more important than ever that we need to speak up. Speaking up is so important because there's a rise of the incel and the male toxicity and misogynism that's rising amongst young
And
men
to say,
because they
yeah.
haven't got strong female older role models to go to. So
Mhm.
that's why we need to speak up to stop that from happening.
Absolutely. I totally agree with you. Is there anything new you can learn as a mature lady when it comes to sex and
Well, I
relationships?
think when you get to my age, you actually don't give a fuck. You really don't. You're not shy
Mhm.
in the bedroom. You know what to do.
Mhm.
And if somebody
Mhm.
isn't up to the task, you bin them off. Basically. And
Wow.
you can say what you want without
Yeah,
being embarrassed. You shouldn't be embarrassed about anything anymore. It's like
I
when I
agree.
left my husband, I had a very toxic situationship for a year, which I was head over heels in, obsessed. But looking back now, it was awful. It was chaotic. It was unpredictable. It was horrible. It was literally just like being with my ex-husband, but on a roller coaster of, breadcrumbing of affection 1 minute, intensity the next, and then put downs and belittling again.
Mhm.
So it was like, um, but that was a stepping stone to me being who I am today, because I went from, as I say in my book, I went from I went from something into fire. I didn't fall into love, I fell into fire. That's what I said.
Mm.
But then that was 2 years ago. I'm so over it. I haven't been with a man since, and I've been working on myself in that I know exactly what I want from somebody. And
Yeah.
saying that I am the prize, because I've never been the prize. I've always been like the wallpaper or the dog's body, or being,
Mm.
I've always been like, I know I've stepped into who I am. I'm stepped
Mm.
into my power. I'm a fucking great person. I've got a lot of love to give, and I'm a very intelligent and funny person. And I'm just not going to put up with low level behavior from anybody, whether it's a man or a woman. I'm quite happy to walk away from friends as well, as I have done. So
Mm.
I'd rather be on my own and be
Mm.
authentic to myself than be
Mhm.
fake with people around me who don't stimulate me intellectually or sexually.
No,
Is that too much
I agree.
information?
No. I agree with you. I think that if people around you are not doing for you what, I mean, you don't necessarily need them to do anything for you, but if you feel they're not serving a purpose, and they're just dragging you down, then what's the point? And that goes for a relationship or
Sure.
friend. So,
I had a best friend in Cyprus for a year. We were inseparable. We went everywhere together. We did everything together. She was single, but she was desperately looking for a boyfriend. And that's fine. And she got one. And as soon as she got one, she dumped me, like from a great height. And she turned around to me in a very malicious, nasty way and said to me, I don't want to be part of the Amanda Moss show anymore. And I was like, excuse me? I haven't got, but my job, my career is based around the media. So I'm always in, the media in one form or another, whether it's me or whether I'm promoting a client. I'm always talking to them. I've always got a microphone in my hand. I give public talks. I host events. So it's like I am, but the fact that she said that, I just walked away, blocked her, didn't even try and argue with her because it was so malicious and shocking and hurtful. But it's just like, you don't really know people until they really tell you how they feel in anger. I don't, I just want peace. Honestly, I'm quite happy just to sit on my own, tootle about, doing my thing, than be around people who want to hurt me. So I'm
No.
very happy. I'm very happy in my own skin doing what I'm doing.
And what have you learned about yourself? Obviously, you've everything that you've been through in your life, and obviously the book that you've just released. What have you learned about yourself? Is there anything new that you've learned about yourself?
Yeah, I'm a really kind person, and I've been a dog's body. I've let people walk all over me because I was a people pleaser. I was desperate to be loved, desperate to be liked, desperate to be popular. Now I don't give a shit about any of that because I didn't like me at the time, and I needed validation from other people. Now I have that internal validation because I never had it as a child. My mother didn't love me. She told me I wasn't wanted, etc., etc. She told me that nobody would love me and I didn't deserve to be loved. Maybe that's true in some ways because I still don't have, the love of my life partner. I'm still craving the romance that I never had. But I've, again, I've learned that everything, maybe universal timing, things are coming. There's a tractor going past. Excuse me.
No, no.
Um,
Everything happens
I've
in the right
learned for
time.
myself to just go with the flow now, open myself up to the universe, meditate, be grateful for being healthy, be grateful for the fact that I have a roof over my head and food in the fridge. I'm not interested in materialistic things. I couldn't care less what car I drive. I couldn't care less about a label on my dress anymore. I don't care about any of that. But I have a lot of gratitude for getting this far in life because there's a few people who never made it along the way, So,
Absolutely, absolutely.
so I'm not fake. I don't. I said I honestly couldn't care less what anybody thinks about me because I like me, my children like me,
Mm.
end of. And
And
I'm a
and
decent
you know who you are.
person.
Yeah, 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 yeah. And you know who you are, and I think that's the most important thing.
I'm not
You know.
ruthless because actually I'd rather just walk away if it's not meant to be now, you know.
But how are you finding the life in Cyprus? Because it's not the UK, you know.
Hate the UK. The UK is
Yeah,
horrendous. Apart from the
uh,
weather and the negativity, as soon as you come into land on an aeroplane from
start
from
stressing.
anywhere, you go
Yeah,
through the clouds, and it's like those clouds follow you from
yeah,
as you go into
yeah,
land, and they follow you around. As
yeah.
soon as you're in the UK, there's so much negativity. Also, the obesity crisis in the UK is horrendous because I live a healthy lifestyle, the Mediterranean diet, swimming in the sea every day, long walks in the sunshine. I'm very blessed. And when I
I'm
go back to
jealous.
the when I go back to the UK, it's just like the processed food, the rows and rows of processed crap in the
Yeah.
shops. You don't see that here. It's all nothing's wrapped in plastic here if it doesn't have to be. All the
Mm,
vegetables come straight from the farmers' fields, straight into the supermarkets in a crate. They're
fresh.
not wrapped up, and they're
Yeah.
not like pre-grown to the same size. Lettuces and carrots and everything are all different sizes. Everything's a lot fresher. It's I mean, the drivers here are utterly awful, but there's no cars on the road here. There's no traffic. There's no. It's just such a nice laid back attitude to life, and that's what I love. There's no judgment here. I can go out here on my own and sit in a bar or a club, and I'll be
Mm,
talking to loads of people within an hour of me being there. If I did that in Liverpool, I'd be looked at as an easy
yeah.
woman, or I'm asking for it, or sado, Billy No Mates. The
Yeah.
judgment is off the scale in the UK, but here people just going about living their lives and having fun. It's just like It's lovely.
I love that. I love that. Life is too short. You know, life is
Definitely.
too short.
Tonight I'm going out for dinner. I'm going to a club. I probably won't get back until 3 because I like dancing. I don't feel like, oh, sad old lady going to dance with 20-year-olds because there's hundreds of other people my age dancing as well. It's great.
Mhm. I think you're only as old as you feel in your mind and body, and for example, like a 60-year-old about 30 years ago was like really old and frail. I mean, 60 years old these days,
My
even
best friend's
70 years old, they look
60.
good. They look
Exactly.
good.
My best friend's 60. We share clothes. We wear mini skirts.
Mm.
We're glamorous, and we're glamorous older women who are honestly just enjoying life and just living our best lives. Because I could keel over tomorrow with a heart attack. You just don't know when your time's up. So I'm just living my best life. Who knows what tomorrow's going to bring? If I wake up tomorrow, it's a blessing.
Exactly. That's yeah. That's very, very good advice. So viewers, live your life. And I
The
mean
thing about
everything.
the thing about the
No,
UK is that we are conditioned in the UK to work 12, 14 hours a day. You are not considered a success unless you get up, you go to the gym, you power through work for 12 hours, emails, phone calls, meetings, all that bullshit. Then you come home, you make your dinner, go to bed, and do that all over again. How is that a life? You are working. You're not living to work, or
you're
working to live,
surviving.
whatever it is. Yeah, there's no lifestyle. You're literally getting up, going to work, coming home, going to bed, and rinse and repeat is here. You get up, you go to the gym, you go for a nice walk, you'd go to work, you go to the beach at lunchtime, you'll have a siesta, maybe go back to the beach, do a couple more hours work, and then go out to a coffee shop, have dinner. That's it.
Mm.
I can do the same amount of work that I did in the UK that would take me 12 hours. I can do that in 4 or 5 hours here and have a better quality of life. And
Wow.
that's I just can't stand the mentality. I mean, if you go on LinkedIn, I fucking hate LinkedIn, excuse my language. But it's just the bullshit on there. I was like, I'm really pleased and delighted to say that I've just secured this deal with Bozo in wherever. And you're just thinking, I've been to this networking event and it was amazing and all these wonderful people. And it's just like, I'd rather be on the beach. I can network online. We're talking online. All my business
Yeah.
is done remotely,
Remotely.
and that way I can get off the phone and go out. Don't have to spend an hour commuting to somebody to sip, rubbish coffee. And that's another thing. The coffee's terrible in the UK. Sip
Yeah. Coffee
coffee,
Costa.
talk nonsense with people when they just want to thrust their business cards in your hand. Everything can be done online. Everything is
Yeah.
just, and then you just carry on with your life.
The technical advances that we have now is wow, way, way, way more advanced than I mean I can ever dream that it would be. Especially growing up. From the first Nokia to the first Ericsson mobile.
Oh God, yeah. Do you
StarTAC.
remember the dial-up? The dial-up.
Oh my
The
God,
dial-up
internet
internet,
connection.
and only 2 people could go on it in the house at the same time.
Yeah, yeah, yeah,
Get off
yeah.
the internet! I want to go on it. I need to send an email.
The young people don't know about that. They don't know about that.
I know, showing our age now, but you know
Huh?
what? That was.
They don't know. They don't know about that. That was a good old times.
It was,
That was a good old
wasn't
times.
it?
Amanda, if people want to get your book, where can they get your book? And do you have any last thoughts?
Okay, so thank you. It's You're Going to Die, so do it anyway. It's on Amazon, it's on Kindle, and it's in paperback. So there's a link on my social media. I'm on TikTok and Instagram and Facebook, Amanda Moss PR, Amanda Lifestyle PR on Instagram and TikTok, Amanda Rachel Moss Facebook, plus Amanda Moss PR. But if you Google Amanda Moss PR, I'm now in the rankings that everything's there. I'm
Everything is
Google
connected.
famous.
Wow, wow, wow. And we'll put the link in also When
Thank you
put
so
out.
much. I would like 10,000 copies sold. That would be amazing. That's my target.
Yeah, yeah.
That's my target. But I
Let's see if
think,
we can get those copies.
well, I'm
10,000.
thinking, universally, globally, there's no reason why it shouldn't sell 1.5 million copies. It's really good. It's a fantastic book. I've shown it to strangers online, asked them to read it, and I've had some really good feedback from them. So it's very relatable to people who are not happy with their lives, don't know where they're going. But it also talks about my life and how I overcame obstacles. And people say to me, "Oh my God, you're so brave. I wish I could do what you did." Well, you can. That's the whole point of the book. You can do whatever you want to do. The only thing stopping you is you. You can book a flight. You can, even if you just don't want to move somewhere, you can go on holiday on your own. You can book a hotel in the UK and go away on your own. You are in control of your happiness. There's
Yeah, but what is it
no
that
one
is
else
stopping
is.
people? What is it?
Yeah.
I mean, you make it sound easy, and
It
but
is, it really is. Maybe it's because I didn't have parents telling me, "Oh, don't do that," or I do get it that some people can't leave because they're caring for their elderly parents, but you know, you you can find a way. Stick them in a
yeah,
home. No,
yeah, 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 yeah. And how was it, if you don't mind me asking, when you actually left and you have obviously
Well, it was
6 kids?
easy because
How was it to with the
my daughter came with me because she didn't want me to be on my own. So
yeah?
she was 21 at the time, so she came with, oh no, she was 19 at the time, she came with me. And then my two daughters followed for 6 months, and I put them into school in Cyprus. I was never on my own till lockdown was finished. By that
Mm,
time, we'd all settled into our new routine. Plus, I fly back and forth. Last year, I took 26 flights. I've taken 10 this year. I mean,
wow.
my youngest daughter came out for half term. I flew home to get her, and each time I flew home, I stayed a week. Then she came back, then I flew back. Then my other daughter finishes the GCSEs. She comes out in 2 weeks for 2 months. And then my son and my other daughter come out in August for 3 weeks. So there's always something going on. There's always somebody here, or I'm back in the UK. It's not like I've gone, right, kids, see you, your mother's disappearing. Have a nice life. I'll talk to you at Christmas. And that's how it was portrayed in the media.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
But
That's how it was portrayed.
I'm first of all, I'm talking to my kids nonstop, multiple times during the day, and I see them, if not every month, but every 6 weeks. So
Mhm.
and they've
There's
got,
always that
four of them
connection,
are
and
over 18. They've
obviously,
got their own lives anyway.
yeah, 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 yeah. Once they turn like 14, 15, 16 and up, they live in their
It's
own
my
life.
time. It's
Yeah,
my time.
absolutely. 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 You have to enjoy your life as well.
Exactly. And I don't cook and I don't clean.
Oh, really?
No.
Oh,
I've
wow.
done 20 years of I can cook and I can clean, but I choose not to because it's a waste of time. I'd rather get somebody else to do it. Or in Cyprus, they have the most amazing bakeries where they do hot food, salmon steaks, chicken steaks,
Oh,
and
wow.
like salads. You don't need to cook. Everything's like €10. It's cheaper to just go out and get it than to have it all
Really?
sitting in your fridge. So,
Okay.
yeah.
Wow.
I
Wow.
cook a
Like
winning
Cardi B.
Christmas
I
dinner.
don't cook, I don't clean.
No, it's a waste of. Well, I used to have a business mentor, and they said to me, "Why are you wasting your time cleaning?" So, say it took me 4 hours to clean a house, and what would you pay a
Mhm.
cleaner? 15, £20 an hour. So that's £80.
Yeah.
Okay. So in that 4 hours, £80, I could get a PR contract worth thousands or hundreds. So that's actually me losing money by cleaning. So that is where you get creative and clever with how you
Mm.
spend your time. And a business mentor taught me that I'm not getting a cleaner because I think it's demeaning or it's below me. It's because
Mhm.
one, I don't like doing it, and two, they can do a better job than me, leaving me to do my job better. That's what I say about PR. People think that they can do their own PR, they think they can do their own social media, and I say, if you have a toothache, you go to the dentist and you let the dentist treat you. So why do you think you can do your own PR? When I'm a skilled public relations expert, I've worked in the media for 35 years, I know the contacts. How do you think my book press release went viral in 4 countries and multiple tabloid newspapers because people are like, oh my God, how did you do that? I'm like, because that's what I do. Just like you're good at what you do, I wouldn't tell you how to do your job, so don't tell me how to do mine. And more importantly, don't try and do my job, because you're putting me out of business, you're getting clients, doing a shit job, giving public relations a bad name.
Wow, there you go.
Yes.
You heard it all from Amanda.
Yeah, I'm very, I've no filter. I just, sorry, I just speak my mind. If that offends people, tough. Truth hurts.
Yeah,
But I
I
do,
mean,
yeah.
it is what it is. It is what it is, and sometimes, as long as it's not being rude, I think sometimes
It's
people
not
need to
really,
hear it
it's
like it is.
direct. It's being
Yeah,
direct, it's being honest, and it's
yeah.
talking with integrity. I know what I'm talking about. I don't bullshit people. I've had PR clients where I've actually said to them, I don't like that idea. I'm not doing that, because I'm not going to blow smoke up anyone's ass just to get them to like me or get their approval. They're hiring me to do a job, and to do a job well. They're not hiring me to, be their biggest fans. And I think that's when you get to my age, you have more confidence to do stuff like that and tell people, actually, you can say no. It's all in my book. I've got 15 chapters. One of them is being a people pleaser, learning to say no, confidence, all that kind of stuff. So, and hello, new me.
Oh
Hello,
wow.
new you. It's a
Yeah,
really
I
good
love
book.
that.
It really can change people's lives. And the fact that I've made it personal, I've added in bits of what's happened to me and how I've turned things around, that it can, that it can enhance and help them too. I've not had it easy. Trust me, I've not had an easy life. I've really been dealt the shit stick in many aspects of my life, but I keep going. I'm very positive, and if I can do it, so can other people.
And your book is it's not just for women, it's for anybody. It's for men as well.
Anybody, Gary, anybody who wants to change that. There is a chapter on menopause, and yes, it is female focused. There's a chapter on, as I said, feminism. There's a chapter on body changes during menopause, and dressing your age or not, being age appropriate and stuff like that, which is tailored towards women, because we get told how we should be, how we should do things. And I'm turning that on the head. You can do it, turning should into can. I can do whatever I want. I can wear whatever I want. I can talk to whoever I want. I can party with whoever I want. I can, I don't have, a should. There isn't a way I should behave because I'm a certain age. I can do whatever the fuck I want, and so can you.
I agree. But do you think that how women were in the 1960s and the 1950s, do you think that there's such a big difference? And is it negative or positive, in your opinion, Amanda?
Well, you have to understand that women weren't allowed to own a bank account until 1971. So everything that they did was dictated to by their husbands. Their husbands owned the money. They couldn't get mortgages or loans until way into the 70s. They didn't have contraception till the 70s. So the way women behaved, it was controlled by the male patriarchy. Women have turned that on its head now. Women, I mean, if you look at women my age in the 60s with blue rinses, long jackets, and little court shoes, we all looked back in the 60s like we were 1 foot away from the grave, didn't we? At 60, you were like over the hill. But you also have to remember and listen to a really good podcast. Mel Robbins, unbelievable. She wrote a book called Let Them, as in let them think, do whatever, but it's not affecting you. But I listened to a really good podcast, and she was saying that, we should be retiring at 55, we should be retiring at 60. That leaves like 30 years potentially of no income and living, but the retirement age should be made older if you want. You can work well into your 70s. Our brains are way more functional than they were when in the 1960s. But these studies were put in place in the 1930s when longevity was, if you lived to 60, you were considered an old person. But now we're living to 18, 90. So I don't think there should be a limit on when you have to retire. You retire when you're ready, when your mind's you're tired, and that's when you retire. I'll be working till the day I die.
Really?
Sadly, unless I meet some very rich person who wants to take care of me. But I've taken care of myself all my life, so I don't think I'd. Yeah.
He's
No.
he's gonna knock on your door tomorrow, maybe. A tall,
You know
dark,
what?
handsome.
I don't. I live for today now. I used to live for the future and hope that things would get better and this, that, and the other. But I was missing out on today by thinking about tomorrow. So now I just think about today and what's going to happen today and tonight, because that's what you can control. I can't control what's going to happen in the future. So, but I can put steps in place to give myself a better future where I'm going to be happier. So, yeah. A lot of people are still stuck in that mentality, going back to your question about women in the 60s, how we dressed and everything. But don't forget, they wore miniskirts in the 60s, didn't they?
Yeah,
And they
yeah,
wore
yeah.
trousers. Women
Twiggy, Twiggy.
women, yeah, women wore tight trousers, which were like, oh, shock horror. But,
Times have
fashion
changed.
always reinvents itself. Fashion is never more than 2 generations apart. Everything reinvents itself.
True. That's absolutely true. It goes back and forth all the time and around. So totally
Yeah.
agree. But no, I mean, it's been fantastic talking with you, Amanda.
Thank you for
I
having me.
really
Sorry, I
do
didn't.
think people will be inspired by your book and just
I
what
hope
you've been
so.
through and your attitude to life.
It's
I
you know.
really, I do wish you the best, and we need to
Thank
do a
you.
follow-up interview. This is the first of many.
Yes, but I've sold 1.5 million copies.
I'm actually gonna buy a book, and I'm gonna buy it to support you. So
Oh,
everyone
thank
else
you.
out there, go and
Appreciate that.
support Amanda's book on Amazon. I'm gonna put the link down below. Is there any last thoughts or anything else you want to say, Amanda?
No, I think thank you very much for having me. Thank you for your time. It's been lovely talking to you. Anybody is self-conscious or worried about other people judging them, I would just get rid of that. This is it, challenging negative thoughts. That's another chapter in my book. Just stop it. The negative chatter in your head is such a waste of energy, and just keep telling yourself that you're bold, you're beautiful, and you can do whatever you want.
Amen. Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Thank you, Amanda.
Sorry for the bad language, but
No,
it's in my
no
soul.
problem.
It's in my soul.
It's okay. It's okay. No problem. Thank you so much for taking
Thank
time out of
you.
your busy schedule.
Love
I really
talking
do
to you.
appreciate it.
Let's keep in touch, yeah?
Definitely. God bless
Fabulous.
you. Thank you.
And God bless you. Thank you. Take care.
Thank
Bye.
you. Like, comment, and subscribe. I will see you next time on the Down Show. Peace. Bye.